Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. I've always opined on this platform that in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence, and that everything in politics is normally well planned, well scripted, and executed to achieve a specific political objective. Nothing in politics just happen for the sake of it. On Monday, something happened which most Kenyans did not take note of. A court in Nakuru withdrew a case against the chairman, Maina Njenga. Let me just read for you that story, because personally I strongly believe that the withdrawal of that case against Maina Njenga is part of William Ruto's strategy of winning Maina Njenga to his side. And I want you to mark this. Maina Njenga is going to be a thorn on the flesh of Rigathi Gachagua. Let me just read for you this story first. A Nakuru court has withdrawn a case against former Mungiki leader Maina Njenga and his co-accused persons after the Director of Public Prosecution filed an application on Monday morning. Yeah? Nakuru Court Principal Magistrate Kipkirui Kibelion, in his ruling on Monday afternoon, pointed out that the prosecution admitted they had no evidence to sustain the case. The prosecution argued that the case be withdrawn on the grounds that 20 witnesses who were lined up to testify were not willing to testify in court due to their relations with the accused persons, amongst other grounds. The court, just listen to that, the courts further directed that the accused persons, Maina Njenga and 11 co-accused persons, be discharged, their bonds refunded, and their funds returned. I know most of you guys might not remember this case. This case began when Maina Njenga was arrested at the peak of Azimio demos. And during that time, most people believed that the arrests were engineered by Rigathi Gachagua, because at that time, Maina Njenga had started competing for the position. He had actually declared himself the Kikuyu. He had actually declared himself Mount Kenya kingpin. And even yesterday, Maina Njenga made reference to those who accused him. Listening to Maina Njenga.
Mungu ametusaidia. Kiongozi tuko naye ama tuko naye? Kiongozi tuko naye? Kana ni tutafika. Tuko Jordan. Tuko moto Jordan. Na tutavuka. Kiongozi wetu ni nani? Kiongozi wetu ni nani? Sasa kazi inaanza. Jiki. Sasa huyu ndio kiongozi wetu. Na kuanzia sasa yeye ndio kiongozi wetu. Mambo ile ya kusema former Mungiki Rita, hakuna Mungiki. Iko Mungiki hapa? Si ni kiongozi? Si ni kiongozi wetu, na sisi tumesema kuanzia leo Mungu ametufungulia, tutawalki mpaka Kanani. Kanati huo? Tuyamoe. Haya. Wacha chama na wasalimia.
Habari zenyu. Mko sawa sawa? Tumeona mahakama imetuliliza. Kwa sababu sasa hakukuwa na kesi tulikuwa naye. Tunashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa sababu ya hiyo haki tumepata. Tunashukuru mahakama, tunashukuru mawakili wote ambao walifanya hiyo kazi, na nyinyi pia. Na tunasema Mungu awabariki, awape nguvu, tupate kuendelea kila siku. Ile ningewahimiza ni kwamba tunapoendelea tuweke nchi amani, tuzingatie amani kila area, ili tuendelee na tukijua ya kwamba wale ambao walituweka katika hii makesi pia wao wako makesi. Ndio? Ndio maana natokelea. No manane atokerera. No ngai witũ nĩ oka na nĩ atũtei. Taratiguo.
Let me tell you something. There is no way the director of public prosecution would just wake up one day to withdraw those charges against Maina Njenga. The truth of the matter is that without political settlement, they would have just delayed the case so that any time Maina Njenga would play around, he will be dragged back to court. In this video, I want to reveal to you guys why personally I strongly believe that Maina Njenga and William Ruto are teaming up to counter Rigathi Gachagua's influence in Mount Kenya. But before you do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. But again, before I dive in, allow me to also take this opportunity to introduce you guys to LemFi. LemFi is a mobile money app for users in the UK, Canada, and the United States of America to send money back to Kenya. They offer the best exchange rates, and the money will be delivered instantly into your M-Pesa account, Airtel Money account, and of course, if you want, directly into your bank account. You can use the link in the pinned comment to download the app. Ladies and gentlemen, let us dive in. First of all, let us listen to the judge making the ruling.
In as much as I sympathize with the accused persons who have been subjected to this admittedly unnecessary trial for over 18 months, the only available recourse would be to allow termination of the case under Section 87A of the Criminal Procedure Code. This court's ruling is explicit as to the admission by the prosecution of its grounds for termination of the case, that is, the account of lack of evidence. Admission that the prosecution does not possess sufficient evidence to sustain the charge, any of the charge against any of the accused person. In the end, I allow the prosecution's application to withdraw the charge under Section 87A of the CPC. Each accused person is discharged accordingly, and I direct that the cash bail deposited by each of the accused person in court be refunded to the respective depositors. Those are the orders of this court.
Your Honor, you are the embodiment of judicial efficiency, judicial humility, and judicial appreciation.
Ladies and gentlemen, in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence. The withdrawal of that case, in my view, is part of William Ruto's strategy of containing Rigathi Gachagua in Mount Kenya. And I want you to take this to any nearest bank, that moving forward, Maina Njenga will start leaning towards the government. Why am I saying so? Number one, Maina Njenga is going to revenge against Rigathi Gachagua. I'm saying this because you can remember the manner in which Maina Njenga was arrested. The raid. And anybody who was alive at that time knew the person who was behind that raid. The truth is, the arrest of Maina Njenga at that time was attributed directly to Rigathi Gachagua. And I remember on this platform, I did a video at that time. That Rigathi Gachagua was going to commit, that Rigathi Gachagua was committing a grave political mistake by being at the forefront. Remember, at that time, Uhuru Kenyatta's farm had been raided. His hands were seen there. Maina Njenga arrest. So he was, I think, power had gotten into the head of Rigathi Gachagua. And that's how Rigathi Gachagua became the enemy of Maina Njenga. I doubt if Maina Njenga is going to spare Rigathi Gachagua, politically speaking. And that's good news for William Ruto. That's exactly what William Ruto wants. They might not work directly, but William Ruto is going to aid Maina Njenga in his fight with Rigathi Gachagua. So that's number one. Number two, there is also the Mount Kenya or the Kikuyu kingpin. Who is Mount Kenya kingpin? Is that person Uhuru Kenyatta? Is that person Rigathi Gachagua? Is that person Maina Njenga? Rigathi Gachagua has already pronounced himself on that matter. That Mount Kenya kingpin is none other than Uhuru Kenyatta, and that is waiting for Uhuru Kenyatta to hand over. For Maina Njenga, he has already declared himself the Mount Kenya kingpin. And after the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua became so powerful. In fact, at the moment, Rigathi Gachagua can easily unite the mountain around him. But Maina Njenga is a politician. Rigathi Gachagua is a politician. Both of them have ambitions. That's why during his speech, the tag of Rigathi Gachagua, the tag of Mungiki, was dismissed.
Sasa Mungu ametusaidia. Kiongozi tuko naye ama tuko naye? Kiongozi tuko naye. Kana ni tunafika. Tuko Jordan. Tuko moto Jordan. Na tutavuka. Kiongozi wetu ni nani? Kiongozi wetu ni nani? Sasa kazi inaanza. Sasa huyu ndio kiongozi wetu. Na kuanzia sasa yeye ndio kiongozi wetu. Mambo ile ya kusema former Mungiki Rita, hakuna Mungiki. Iko Mungiki hapa? Sisi ni kiongozi. Sisi ni kiongozi wetu na sisi tumesema kuanzia leo Mungu ametufungulia tutawalk mpaka Kanani. Kanati huo.
So Maina Njenga is going to fight to become Mount Kenya kingpin. And the way politics is designed, the government is going to aid him because Maina Njenga and Rigathi Gachagua fighting is good news. It helps William Ruto. Number three, why I also strongly believe that William Ruto and Maina Njenga are going to work very closely is because Maina Njenga has control over Mount Kenya youths. I don't want to use the word Mungiki. Just get me right. The chairman has control over those youths. You saw how they turned up in large numbers when the ruling was made. And because he has those youths behind him, William Ruto and the government of Kenya can actually use him, number one, to sabotage Rigathi Gachagua on the ground. And that's the fact. Yeah, that's the fact. He can be used to sabotage Rigathi Gachagua on the ground. Number two, after Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment, going to the ground has been very difficult for William Ruto. Remember what happened, was it in Laikipia? When William Ruto attended that church service during the Gen Z protest, and a group of youths forced Ruto to sneak out of the church. Because Maina Njenga has the support of those youths, he can easily mobilize them for Ruto. And of course, one of the biggest challenges for William Ruto today is his allies on the ground in Mount Kenya. After the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, most of the allies cannot even go to the ground. Which means one thing, they cannot disseminate William Ruto's messages to the ground. Now, Maina Njenga can help them with the youths to preach the gospel of William Ruto. And because of that, William Ruto would really aid Maina Njenga, including funding some of his activities, even without him knowing. Number four, which is also very important, and this is why William Ruto is going to ensure that he works with Maina Njenga, is because of his strategy of divide and rule. Now, Rigathi Gachagua was impeached. Then William Ruto had the option of even appointing Musalia Mudavadi as the deputy president. He opted for Professor Kithure Kindiki, a good man. The reason for that is that William Ruto wanted to retain the position of the seat in Mount Kenya, but not just Mount Kenya, not taking it to Mount Kenya East. By taking it to Mount Kenya East, it means if West is rebelling, East can be told, you have this seat, protect it. Now we are talking of West, which are rebelling. Now Rigathi and Maina Njenga are also fighting. That is good news for William Ruto. And number 5 is what I normally refer to as perceptional value. I've always told you that politics is a perceptional game. And the perception has always been that after the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, William Ruto is losing the ground. But William Ruto is making some deliberate steps to try and tame Rigathi Gachagua. Members of parliament who are with Rigathi Gachagua are currently apologizing to William Ruto. William Ruto is meeting some of them secretly. Rigathi Gachagua is being isolated. The church leaders are being warned against hosting Rigathi Gachagua. So the perception is Rigathi Gachagua is the problem. And lastly, in my view, William Ruto is out to isolate Rigathi Gachagua. And that's very important for him after that impeachment. Because Rigathi Gachagua made his impeachment a community affair. The members of parliament, even those members of parliament who voted to impeach him, cannot go to the ground. So which means William Ruto has to come up with a strategy on how he's going to deal with Rigathi Gachagua. One of them is to isolate him. One of them is to isolate him. If you want to cut a tree, what do you normally do? Let's say you have a big tree, you want to cut it down. What do? Do you just take power saw and, no? You have to climb up, get the branches, cut some branches. The ones which can tilt the direction, you cut all of them. That's exactly what William Ruto is doing. And one of the branches is the Mount Kenya youths. You remove them from Ruto. I mean, from Rigathi Gachagua, you isolate Rigathi Gachagua. Members of parliament are already out of Rigathi Gachagua. The other day you saw the governor for Nyeri, the way he spoke, is also taking a distance. The senator for Laikipia was begging William Ruto for apology the other day. So Ruto is keen on isolating Rigathi Gachagua. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to assure you that Maina Njenga is likely to work with William Ruto in 2027. Until that time, this is Lee Makwiny.